Guys, Dengar is so crazy. He doesn't keep prisoner. He just kills his bounties. He's so strong. And his ship, it's very important we point this out because his ship doesn't really have anything to do with that at all. It doesn't matter that he keeps no prisoners. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xerath Rats Out Dengar. Dude, Dengar is in no way gonna be able to kill his guys unless he's using the new Datacron set, because his bounties are stronger than a couple thermal detonators hitting them, I'm sorry to say. But his new Datacron is actually very strong. And let's talk about the new set, because this new one is crazy. It's it's set 18. It's blue. It's everything we hoped it could possibly be. It doesn't matter, guys. It's fine. Let's talk about that after I say that my patrons are awesome. Thank you guys so much for your support, guys. I couldn't do this without you. I really couldn't. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. And if you want to support this channel for free, folks, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment. Let's mount that algorithm, folks. It's part of set 18. It's time to jump on board. So, I also have an infographic. Go to my Discord server, which is linked in the video description. You can find you don't have to take a screenshot of it here. You can go find the full version in the infographic section, which is toward the bottom of the Discord. It's just in a place called infographics. You can also sign up for notifications in infographics in a channel that I've forgotten. It's toward the top though, and you can sign up for it just by using like one emote thing, one reaction on Discord, and then you'll get notifications when I put out a new infographic. But one way or another, folks, we're not going to talk about this specific infographic. We're going to talk about probably a little bit broader strokes. In fact, the infographic is more it's just a shopping list. Go get these ones, and then probably you want a few more because this is a big set. Let's go and talk about it. So, set 16 is going away. It's dusting, and good riddance to set 16. It's probably the thing in this game that has ground my gears the most. I really didn't like it, but we can stop complaining about that for now. The one practical thing you have to realize, though, is set 16 provided for your entire roster almost. Set 17 is very specific. It's like Jedi plus a couple targeted factions. So you can mostly do, there's a lot of good level 3 Datacron set pieces from set 17 for light side. So you can stay in that Datacron section for light side, for some of them at least. But dark side has but basically no home in 17. Unless you're Night Sisters or Imperial Remnant. And there's actually even a lot of overlap between those two factions. So set 18, the new one, the blue one, it's new and blue. It rhymes, so it's cool. And basically this is entirely your dark side faction, plus a decent chunk of your light side faction as well. Mercenary is the new one. We predicted that one a long time ago. It was the most obvious thing in all the land. Unaligned Force user, and then you can't predict Old Republic, because why would you predict that? I mean, I predicted middle-aged public, but this is fine. So the stats on this one is an interesting thing. Typically, all the way up until set 16, or set 17, I should say, it's just been 6 stats every single time. They pick 6 stats. Sometimes they suck, sometimes they're great. And so then last time, set 17, they had 8 different stats that you could roll. Now we have 7 stats. They're all somewhat useful. Crit chance is less useful though. With the Imperial Remnant team and all of the no crit allowed kind of mechanics that are around, maybe crit chance is more relevant. I don't really think so, but maybe. This set is just very down the middle, folks. There's nothing with offense percentage. There's nothing with armor penetration. But there is, crit damage. There's stuff to boost your health and protection. And it kind of feeds into a more tanky kind of Datacron set. That there's no defense percentage, which is, I mean, that's the true tanky stat that you can roll. But anyways, I guess I would say for people who don't want to play with a ton of rerolls and stuff on their Datacrons, I just wouldn't worry about stats that much. If you are going to worry about stats, just focus on health, protection, and crit damage for the most part, unless you want to specifically target tenacity or potency, which can be really strong in the right context. They're all, like I say, somewhat useful. Health steal's nice on a lot of different Galactic Legends, etc. Anyways, the general mechanics of this set, like I said, mostly Jedi and some specific light side teams, and just like 1 or 2 dark side teams are going to stay in set 17. Almost everything else is going to come over to set 18 because it just covers such a wide range of models and characters. And then, especially for dark side, you have the dark side revive level 3 for tanks. So if you want to put Malgus on defense with Malak, it's again Cal proof. Like the Jedi Cal team is just not going to be able to kill it because they revive right after he auto kills them. It's really frustrating. It's one of my least favorites, the most tilting thing for me. But then there's also, if you want to do that, that's great. But then possibly more important is going to be the dark side 15% health and protection boost for each other dark side member you have on your team, and that doesn't work for light side. So the mixed teams and stuff are going to struggle with that a little bit, but yeah, dark side is definitely dominant here. Remember, Ufu, so we have unaligned force users and we have mercenary. They're both dark side. So if you're a light side, it's just going to take you straight to Old Republic. Like you guaranteed Old Republic. There's only 3 factions, but it does cover quite a bit of ground here. The level 3 on dark side, probably the most important one, except, well, there's a few of them that are really important here. Okay, so mercenaries. So there's a couple really good ones here, and I guess I mentioned them a little bit in the infographic more as well. But for mercenaries, this is the best level 6s in the game, or in this particular set for sure. And there's only 5 different mercenaries that you can roll here. That you can actually for level 9s, so that's nice. The other ones I think have, 7 each or something like that, so it's a little bit tougher to get their level 9s, but for mercenaries, first we don't have the one for Balin yet, because that's going to be a bespoke one. That's one you have to basically pay for unless you get really lucky, or you've kept up your hoard of crystals and are able to just outright pay for all of those characters and stuff. One way or another, if you can't get the Balin Cron, which I guarantee is going to be amazing, then I think the Shin one looks decent at least. There's a few that are just awful. I would say the biggest winner for the level 9s is going to be Hondo, and the biggest, I think the really biggest winner for this one is how big the mercenary faction is, and the fact that you get the thing that trades some of your defense for a 400% offense, which is just completely extra ludicrous. And here's a few examples of teams. Like the CLS team actually really benefits from this because Han and Chewie end up being a big percentage of your damage in that group, and so you could use them there. You could have the Dash team, which the Hondo Cron is really good on its own, folks, but then you also have Dash, who's a mercenary, which giving him 400% extra offense is just absolutely just not fair. It's bonkers. It's outrageous. It's unfair. People are going to whine about it. Anakin would absolutely think it's the same as Sand. Vander Chewie is also he's also a merc, though he doesn't care as much about, like, his offense is all based on his health, so he's not, like, the 400% offense actually kind of hurts him because his defense just goes away for no actual gain. The Hutt Cartel is surprisingly full of I mean, that's not surprising, I guess, that they'd have mercenaries, but it's you can actually get a pretty decent team. And remember, you want to have as many dark side characters on your team as you can so that you're getting the extra health and protection boost from the level 3. And so you're going to be able to you just throw in Cad Bane on the team, and you just keep Embo's going to be hitting like a truck. Chrysantin's going to be like, hey, where'd my defense go? But I think that team is pretty interesting to target with this. And then Dengar, I'm not sure if he's going to go with bounty hunters. I threw him there. Remember, none of these teams are the final splits necessarily. I just think that the Dengar team, so his Datacron is the one that he's the same as the old Sabine Kron that just went away, and I think that we had one for Afra, and we Dash had it. We've had this recurring thing where if once your opponent takes a turn, then the character in question, this time it's Dengar, takes a bonus turn, and so he's just going to be throwing thermal detonators forever. He's actually going to be pretty good this season for sure, which it's his 4 months of fame, right, guys? So, he's going to help Bosk and his team get their contract pretty quick, or maybe there's a better bounty hunter that helps them get their contract even faster. I don't really know. I haven't thought about it a ton, but I do think maybe he'll just go with some other group. Maybe he'll go with, like, Lord Vader. Probably not, but maybe. And then the one other thing I want to point out, folks, is there's some pretty good stuff for the Mercs. If you want to look into it with, like, you can do a ton of debuffs with Scion of Django. I have a feeling in Territory Wars that's going to be a very relevant thing, possibly, if you want to play Territory Wars. Ufus is the other really big faction. It touches a lot of different other factions. It's kind of just dispersed throughout the galaxy. I'm not even showing Cat here. There's actually a lot of them that we could actually use, but the one thing is it's going to be tough to roll some of these, and there's not that many great ones. Malicos is very questionable because it gives him a taunt, and you really don't want people hitting Malicos. If you're keeping him for offense, you can kind of mitigate it, but it does kind of feel bad. It makes him stronger. The level 6, I'm not sure if it's going to be great or not. It looks decent. It's the wordy one. It's the one that it's like when this happens and this and this and this and this and like 7 things happen, and usually that means it's really good. But when you really read it, it's like, well, you use like half of your words to just describe like one group, and it's just like this really long sentence to describe one group. And so I'm not sure. It's like when dark side or light side unaligned force users, and they use that phrase like 4 times in that paragraph. It's hard to tell exactly what happens and what the impact is, because it's reducing max health, it's giving max health. It's like, okay, that sounds okay. But remember, Ufus are also, we have 2 of them, and I don't know, I guess we'll have this set probably once Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano's out. So Glat will be here. She'll be an Ufu team, so you might, there's probably a better Datacron for her team, but that's kind of a way to map legendary releases, isn't it, guys? Probably is they get a bespoke cron. Like I'm guessing we'll get Ahsoka at some point, like right when set 19 comes out. Anyways, we don't need to talk about that. I'm getting derailed. I apologize, but the fact of the matter is, every team is going to benefit from this. Every Ufu team is going to benefit from this. I'm guessing this is where the Inquisition stuff characters are going to go. And then, Rey, obviously, she can have an all Ufu team. And so these are going to be in high demand. It's a little more awkward because a lot of them are like light side characters that don't really use the level 6 and everything. But every time an Ufu Kron is being used. The biggest question mark to me, and this is something you'll have to wait for my 3v3 and 5v5 videos, is because Starkiller follows everyone and just assists everyone like a little puppy, do you really need Palpy and Mara on that team? Because Mara has her own decent Datacron. That's a big question mark as well. We'll have to address that later. So we have the Old Republic as well. I think the biggest winner from this is just going to be the Sortie Droid team. We've had this one before, and what's obnoxious about it, when you read it, you're like, oh, okay, so everyone gets this buff, but then it goes away. But if you read it closer, that buff goes away, and then it comes back over and over and over again, unless you're able to snipe out Sortie. If you can just kill Sortie, after, like, she'll revive one time, and then after that, if you kill her again, then you win. It's tough to kill her, though, and so it's going to be an interesting... I don't think she had Lobot to help her last time. Like, Lobot... It's been a while since that one's been good. And then Karth's looks really strong in a really dumb faction. Like, it's almost like he wants to go with Darth Vader lead, and I don't really know what to think about it. So I just put this team... it's not a great team, but... I'll tell you what. So he gives a lot of dot, or he make every time he takes a turn, he forces everyone to take their the damage from their damage over times. And Kendris does a lot of dots, and so does Zalbar and Mission. And Juhani just sits there like the worthless, almost tank that she is. But the team looks, I mean, it's probably not going to be good, guys. I don't know. It looks, the Karth is going to be the thing that drives it. I don't know if he's enough to drive that team, but it's interesting. I feel like we're going to use Karth somewhere, but I felt like we were going to use Jedi Consular somewhere in the last set, in set 16, and we never did. No one ever did. So how to choose? Just remember, guys, Galactic Legends probably get a priority for these things. Because they're overpowered, and giving them good Datacrons for a faction that they're in is usually going to make a really good defensive or offensive team, depending. Mercenaries are all over the place, and they can do an egregious amount of damage, and usually they're on characters who already do a lot of damage. And so, like, watching Jango with 400 extra % damage on a Watt team might not look that exciting or whatever, but he's going to destroy some people. I'm very interested to see what all is going to happen. Like, But then the team is so weird and lopsided and inconsistent because, so it's like, okay, well, yeah, Dash will do a lot of damage, but what about the other characters? Hondo will do a lot of damage. What about, I'll knock something over. What if I do a lot of damage? I'm kind of a mercenary. Like, I just knocked that thing over. If I'd had the 400% offense boost, that thing would have been knocked over about the same amount, because frankly I didn't hit it that hard. And then max health and max protection. I think the light side or the dark side focus on max health and max protection, and then you can double whammy it though with actual stats for health and protection. You can kind of stack your survivability. The thing is, you have to remember, you still don't have, you're not stacking defense. So if your opponent has enough damage on their side, you're still not going to live super long. But it can also inform how much damage you can do. Like, Malgus teams are going to be crazy strong because he's going to get all that boosted health, and you can also stack health, and he does damage based on how much health he has total, and you know, it continues to escalate, and he's gonna be really good. And that's kind of why Malgus isn't gonna take the tank cron. The tank revive cron. I think he's got a lot of good options. He's like one of the best characters in the game, of course. Probably just because I don't know how to beat him or something. I'm just tilted all the time about that a-hole. But tell me what things I missed, folks. This is gonna be a really interesting set. I don't think it's like that overpowered so far. It doesn't seem like it has the right mechanics to just break people's minds the way set 16 does. It seems toned down. It also seems a little like they're throwing in the towel on some of the more interesting sets, like level 3s, level 6s, all things we've seen before, and even a lot of the level 9s are just recycled onto different characters. So, I mean, are we drowning in lack of Datacron diversity? Does the lack of Datacron diversity mean they're pulling resources from inventing new ones to actually, like, maybe giving other parts of the game a boost? That would be nice. Anyways, I would love to hear what your thoughts are, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Please send your friends to click on this video too if they like the infographic. That would also be very helpful. Thank you all once again so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails, and I hope you do too, folks. Take care.